What whistled at me in the Arizona desert?
Already know.
For the past 9 days, I've been house sitting for my dad and stepmom in semi-rural southern Arizona. I say semi-rural because we're about 40 minutes from the city near Saguaro National Park. Not too far, but not too close either. I grew up in the area and only moved away a few years ago, where I now live with my husband in another state. My family is still here in Arizona, and I miss them deeply. So when my dad asked if I would watch their place while they took a month-long trip to Alaska, I jumped at the chance, as it meant that I could see my mom and my brother too. I agreed to cover the first 2 weeks, and then my brother would take over. Their place sits on a few acres just outside of town, the kind of property where the desert feels close. During the day, it's all sun and quiet heat, but at night, the darkness presses in from every side. They've got these 2 dogs, one who's basically a guard dog, plus 2 horses and a dozen chickens. The house is big, it's a little bit maze-like, and it's a patchwork of old rooms and new additions. There are more exterior doors than you would expect, hallways that dead end into small rooms, and spaces so deep and shadowy that the only light is from a single lamp or a small window. I've stayed here before, but never alone. The first few nights, I barely slept. Lucky, the guard dog, would erupt without warning.
Nope.
The sound tore me from my sleep, heart pounding, panic flooding my body before my brain could rationalize why. Then he would bolt through the dog door at the back of the house and be swallowed by the darkness outside. I would hear him tearing across the yard, his bark echoing off the barn and the garden walls. Before my dad left, he warned me that Lucky is sensitive to desert critters. Think javelina, coyotes, the occasional bobcat. So I told myself that it was nothing, and to be honest, night creatures are none of my business, especially since Lucky seemed to have it handled. But after a few nights of being startled awake, I started shutting the dog door and leaving the living room TV on low to give him something else to focus on. And for a while, it worked. But then came Friday night. I was in the back bedroom, getting ready to go to sleep, when both dogs suddenly snapped to attention. They shot to their feet, nails skittering across the tile, and bolted towards the back of the house. A second later, I heard it too. A person whistled. Short, sharp, deliberate. The kind of whistle you would use to get someone's attention. 2 or 3 rising notes, almost as if to say, "Hey, over here." It seemed to come from outside, right by the back patio where the dog door is. The dogs went wild, barking and racing into the night. I froze for a beat, and then slowly slunk out of the bed to grab my flashlight and scan the yard from the windows. The garden, the barn, the open stretch beyond the arena. Nothing to be seen. I called the dogs in, I shut the door, and told myself it was probably someone walking down the dirt road, or maybe in the wash behind the house. The next night, deciding to be extra careful, I walked the property, checked every lock and window, I shut the door, and made sure the place was secure. That gave me enough peace to finally relax a little. I was a few minutes into taking a shower and had a podcast playing quietly from my phone. And that's when Lucky went off again, loud, urgent barks from the attached bedroom. I called for him, trying to calm him down, but then I heard it. A man's voice. And not only that, it was a man's voice coming from somewhere inside the house.
Nope.
I couldn't make out words, just the sound of someone calling out across rooms, muffled by the walls and the noise of the shower. But it was deep, human, and clear enough that my body reacted before my brain could. Like some primal part of me just knew. Fear settled on top of me like a heavy blanket, and my brain landed on one crystal clear thought. There's a man inside the house. Lucky kept barking as I quietly stepped out of the shower, leaving it running as I didn't want this person to know that I had heard them. I wrapped myself in a towel and grabbed my flashlight and phone. Only a few lights were on, so most of the house was dark. I crept towards where Lucky was, looking around as I went. Nothing in the kitchen, nothing in the living room, everything exactly as I left it. Lucky, though, was planted at the back patio door, staring at the dog door like he was waiting for something to come through it. Or maybe to be let out. Phone in hand, I was seconds from calling 911, or honestly my mom, but there was nothing obvious. There were no open doors or windows, nothing out of place, no sign anyone had been there at all, except for a freaked out dog and the sinking certainty that despite the evidence, I hadn't been alone. Yet in the back of my mind, I had a ridiculous thought. If the police come, I'll have to walk across the property in the dark to unlock the front gate in a towel with one shaved leg and a pink polka dot shower cap on my head. Making noise, turning on lights, any of that suddenly felt wrong. It felt like it could draw something towards me. So I just stood there frozen. My ears were straining for any signs in the now silent night. I couldn't bring myself to check the far hallways or the closed-off bedrooms or the narrow stairs to the small second floor. Instead, I simply locked the bedroom door, pulled the dogs inside, and stayed put until morning. The next night, I gave up and stayed at my mom's. When I started telling my brother what happened, he cut me off before I even got to the details. He said that months ago, when he was alone in the house, he had heard a strange whistle inside too. The same kind of whistle that I had heard. He told me the place had always felt spooky to him too. Later, I spoke with my dad and stepmom, and they checked the cameras around the property. Nothing showed up either night. That's when my stepmom admitted that she's heard a person whistling there before too, but had always brushed it off as an echo or maybe a distant neighbor. There was someone or something in the house with me that night. I know it as confidently as I know my own name. And even now, sitting in the airport waiting to catch my flight home, I still can't seem to shake it.